I actually dive into it, I'd like to welcome up Thoreen Blue Waters Nikamoon, which means Earth Song, to do more of an opening for us to really recognize where we are and the intention of the space we're trying to create today. So Blue, it's right behind.
Tansay, Nikamoon, Natisi Nakasun, Maingan Dodam, Big River, Saskatchewan, Nadunjaba. I don't know if you can translate that, but I'll put it in English for you. My name is Blue Waters. My spirit name is Earth Song. I am of the Wolf Clan. My family is from Big River, Saskatchewan, and I am Cree Métis Mi'kmaq. First of all, I'd like to give thanks to the Mississaugas, the Six Nations, the Métis, and the Haudenosaunee, on whose territory we are standing. I was given tobacco today to do an opening for you so that we can walk this day in a good way. When I was asked to do this opening, I was wondering, what am I going to speak about? There's just so much that can be said about what happens to each and every one of us every day. The violence that we experience from the judgments of others should not be ours. We should be able to dress how we want to dress, work where we want to work, and walk our streets when we want to walk them. To be judgmental is not in our ways from the time we are born. It's a learned behavior, and one that we can change from when we have our community support. Every one of you here comes from a mother. Every one of you is a valuable part to our community. When one of us hurts, we all hurt. When we stand beside each other, we become unshakable. When we walk the streets alone, we should be safe, but we're not. I am a mother of 3. I am a grandmother of 3. I am a two-spirited elder from York University. I have a wife. And I feel proud of who I am. And part of our healing and part of us being strong is being proud of who we are, what we represent. Having the freedom to love who we want. Having the freedom to dress how we like. Those are our rights. Because we own nothing else but ourselves. When I look at people and if I perform judgment on them, they in turn are going to do the same to me. So it starts with us as individuals to be kind and loving and compassionate to each other, to treat each other with respect. We're not meant to be violent people. Those are behaviors that have started a long time ago and need to be stopped. It's up to us as individuals to speak up for ourselves and for those who haven't found their voices. It takes a long time to find your voice, to be able to stand up and say, no means no. In the Aboriginal community, there is thousands of women who have been abused and murdered and neglected. In every other culture, there are thousands of women who have been abused. So I'm going to ask that medicine today to do its work. For all those women that are out there and need to find...
He tirelessly worked on her sign that said, "No bad women, just bad laws." Today in our country we gather to celebrate women, our choices, our bodies, our rights. Minister Peter MacKay and his Conservative government spearheaded by right-wing evangelicals, are actively trying to pass an unconstitutional law such as Bill C-36, the Picton Bill, that seeks to criminalize a woman's right to her own body, how she chooses to live, work, and with whom and under what parameters she chooses to have consensual sex. As we are bombarded by the human rights atrocities in the Middle East, Africa, and Brazil, I can't help but wish our Canada was different, that we can look forward to a future that was less bleak. I can't help but yearn for a future where women have actual rights to choose and freedoms of their own bodies and their own lives. I want to see a government that protects the most vulnerable and empowers them to make their own choices, then respect those choices. I want to see a country that embraces women and not coddles or infantilize them. A country where the morality of religious-based organizations will never supersede the lives, freedoms, and liberties of women, of all people who choose to do sex work. I want to see a government that listens to actual sex workers when they say decriminalization is the only system that will protect them by ensuring their access to labor, legal, and human rights. I stand here today united with all current sex workers, my mother, my daughter, and I add my voice to over 200 legal experts to tell the Canadian government that Bill C-36 is unconstitutional, an abomination that will result in hundreds, if not thousands, of more dead women across our land. I implore you all to join us, to speak up, and take an active role to ensure that Bill C-36 never becomes law in this land. Thank you.
Thank you. Those here that see the need that women should dress and act the way they want to. I was going to grab my little. Sorry, everything's on laptop. Yeah. Okay, so take the Take the shoe. Okay, so I'm here in solidarity with Maggie's Toronto, one of the oldest sex work agencies in Toronto. We see the need to support this rally. You know, not only are all women affected, so are sex workers around slut shaming. I'm also here on my own as a trans woman of color, a sex worker. I'm slut shamed all the time because I don't conform to what people think what a woman should look like, that I can't show my breasts, I can't look provocative. Fuck you, I do what I want. Okay, so here we go. Everything's on iPad. Okay.
Hold on. There we go. It's like this chance all over again. Okay, here we go. Our next speaker coming up is Jeff Pereira. Jeff, you nearby? Who's Jeff? Okay, good. Jeff is speaking as a member of the White Ribbon Campaign. Jeff is a community engagement manager for White Ribbon, the world's largest movement of men working towards reimagining masculinity and inspiring men, young men, boys, and male-identified people to help end gender-based violence. Please give it up for Jeff. Give him a warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. As a settler and cis-hetero, male-identified person striving to be an ally, I'm honored to join you all and share a brief few words of thankfulness for the work that you do, because you get it. You get it. What we're doing here today, what you're doing to help society heal, change, and grow, you get it. My friend Carly came out to the last Slut Walk in Toronto, and later on she told me, I used to adore men. I feel lost now with no men to adore. I jotted that down on a napkin because that really stayed with me. It haunted me. Male-identified people, young men and boys, need to hear these stories, hear these everyday stories and experiences. While some men are also survivors of violence, these issues you are tackling here today of sex shaming and victim blaming are invisible for too many men and young men. Too many men become defensive and say, well, not all men. Saying not all men is not helpful. We need to listen.
All men are guilty.
We need to listen and we need to reflect. It's not a conversation of us versus them. It's a conversation of us. All of us. Constricting narrow rules based on gender roles are hurting us, killing us. How to be a woman, how to be a man, how you must be one or the other. The formula for this outdated idea of manhood is to prove you're not a woman. Here we find the roots of oppression that women, girls, female-identified, and non-binary people are facing. Patriarchy is the rope that's used as a choke chain to police what's deemed masculine. We are then coded to use that same rope to suffocate anything deemed feminine. We live in a world where men are taught they must conquer in all aspects of their life. That idea harms themselves and everyone around them. It is a lose-lose for us all. Binary ideas of gender deny too many people the right to happiness, equity, and even life itself. There are those of so-called movements for so-called men's rights who will look at this gathering and say this event doesn't even care about men. They'll say that feminism doesn't care about men. That is not the case. My question to them is, what are you doing to work towards healing? Slut Walk recognizes that some male-identified people are also survivors of violence. Feminism, women's struggle for human rights, is about healing. A healing for everyone. The socialization of masculinity means men are coded not to ask for help, not reach out for support when they are hurting, and some in turn hurt others or hurt themselves. Movements that speak out to so-called rights for men delegitimize male issues that are real and do more harm than good. More importantly, they operate at the expense of women's movements and at the expense of women's safety. We need more maps to manhood, more living guides to a proper, healthy manhood. Yes. The work folks like us at White Ribbon are doing are to inspire positive male role models striving to be allies. As men, we must navigate life seeking consent in everything we do. Consent starts before even you lay eyes on a person. It's a conversation that starts inside you. Seeking consent in every step of the conversation, interaction, and getting to know someone. We need to fight for the freedom for everyone to embrace the best, healthiest version of themselves, to express the wide and diverse spectrum of their identity. This is the way forward, in mind, body, and spirit. No path forward is effective and powerful and as healing as love. Be loved. I'm here today for us. You are here today for us. We are here today for each other. Let's create a world where we have the freedom to be. Feminism has paved the road towards change, and now we walk that road towards change. So together we walk, in solidarity, with urgency, and with love. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff. That was beautiful.